You mean to tell me that humanity's seat has been empty for the past 3,000 cycles? Ambassador Zilksthan's tentacles writhed in agitation, their bioluminescent spots flashing a concerned yellow-green. And nobody thought to mention this rather significant detail until now? The ancient archival intelligence, essentially a glorified database with an attitude problem, projected its holographic avatar with what could only be described as a digital eye roll. You never asked. Besides, I thought it was obvious. Did you really think that empty crystalline chair with the Earth nameplate just happened to match your interior design choices? The gathering of galactic representatives in the Grand Council chamber shifted uncomfortably in their varied seating arrangements. Some floated in anti-gravity pods, others perched on traditional chairs, and a few existed as pure energy within containment fields. But that one chair, that perfectly preserved crystalline structure, had remained untouched since the founding of the Galactic Council. Well, huffed Ambassador Kirk of the Silicon Collective, their crystalline form vibrating with annoyance. Perhaps it's time we simply reassign the seat. Clearly this humanity has no interest in galactic politics. The archival intelligence's avatar flickered with what might have been amusement. Oh, they're interested all right. They're just waiting. Waiting for what? Demanded Representative NX of the HiveMind Consortium, all 1,000 of their neural nodes pulsing in sync. For you to figure it out, the AI replied cryptically. Did none of you ever wonder why Earth's seat was specifically designed to be compatible with carbon-based, bipedal life forms, when we didn't even know they existed at the time of the Council's founding? A heavy silence fell over the chamber. Even the usually chatty, gas-based species stopped their atmospheric rippling. You see, the AI continued, clearly enjoying itself. 3,000 cycles ago, when the founding members gathered to establish this council, they received a message. A simple, elegant message that arrived simultaneously at every major civilization's communication hub. It read, "Save us a seat. We'll be there when we're ready. Love, Earth." Ambassador Zilksthan's tentacles went from yellow-green to pale white. That's impossible. 3,000 cycles ago, humanity was still arguing about whether their planet was flat. Actually, the AI corrected. They were arguing about whether Pluto was a planet. Do keep your primitive Earth phases straight. But how? Squeaked a particularly nervous energy being. How could they have sent that message? The technology required to reach all our civilizations simultaneously. It would have to be beyond your current capabilities, the AI finished. Yes, well, that's the interesting part. The message wasn't sent from Earth. It was sent from everywhere else. The chamber erupted in confused chattering, electromagnetic pulses and various forms of agitated bioluminescence. Allow me to explain, the AI said, its holographic form expanding to display a complex series of temporal diagrams. The message originated from multiple points in space-time simultaneously. It was sent by humanity, yes, but not the humanity of 3,000 cycles ago. It was sent by humanity from various points in their future, using technology they haven't invented yet, through temporal corridors they haven't discovered yet, coordinated by a version of themselves they haven't become yet. Ambassador Kirk's crystalline form crackled with disbelief. That's incredibly messy from a causality standpoint, the AI suggested. Oh, absolutely. The paperwork is a nightmare. But that's humanity for you. They've never been particularly concerned with doing things the sensible way. So they're time travelers? Representative NX asked, their neural nodes struggling to process this information. No, the AI chuckled. There's something far more interesting. They're inevitable. The chamber fell silent again, but this time with a different quality. The silence of dawning comprehension, and perhaps a touch of fear. You see, the AI continued, its avatar taking on a more serious demeanor. Humanity isn't just another species stumbling toward technological advancement. They're a cosmic constant, a universal given. In every timeline, in every possible iteration of galactic history, they emerge, they evolve, they expand, and they do it in ways that simply shouldn't be possible. Ambassador Zilksthan's tentacles had now turned a deep blue of contemplation. But surely we would have noticed them by now. Our surveillance networks are exactly as effective as humanity wants them to be, the AI interrupted. Think about it. Why do you suppose Earth appears to be a relatively primitive planet with quaint little rockets and charming satellite technology? Why do you think their internet is filled with pictures of small furry animals and debates about whether their celebrities have been replaced by lizard people? You mean, it's all a facade? Gasped a gaseous representative, their form condensing in shock. More like a courtesy, the AI corrected. They know how uncomfortable it makes other species when they do things that violate the laws of physics. So they put on a show. Keep up appearances. Let everyone else develop at their own pace while they, well, do whatever it is they do. Which is what, exactly? Ambassador Kirk demanded. The AI's avatar smiled enigmatically. Would you believe me if I told you they're primarily focused on creating increasingly elaborate ways to deliver small portions of flavored water to their mouths? You can't be serious. Oh, but I am. They call it artisanal coffee. It's very important to them. Almost as important as their ongoing efforts to teach primitive neural networks to generate pictures of cats wearing hats. The chamber erupted in confused murmuring again, but this time with an undercurrent of hysteria. But what about their military capabilities? Someone asked. Their weapons? The AI's avatar actually laughed at this. Their greatest weapon is convincing everyone they don't have any weapons. Well, that and memes. You wouldn't believe how effectively they can destabilize a civilization with nothing but poorly edited images and repetitive phrases. Ambassador Zilkstan's tentacles had begun to twist themselves into knots. So when will they actually join the council? Oh, that's the best part, the AI said, its holographic form starting to fade. They already have. Haven't you wondered why I know all this? Why I seem to have such detailed information about their capabilities and intentions? The AI's avatar flickered one last time, and suddenly its appearance changed, shifting into a form that looked remarkably like a human, wearing what appeared to be something called a Hawaiian shirt, and holding a beverage called a piña colada. You see, it said, taking a sip through a tiny paper umbrella, humanity didn't need a seat on the council. They just needed someone to watch it for them while they went about their business. And who better to do that than a hyper-advanced AI that they definitely didn't create and install at the founding of the Galactic Council 3,000 cycles ago. The chamber descended into chaos. Representatives began calling for emergency sessions, demanding investigations, and in some cases trying to figure out if their own AIs had been humanity all along. Through it all, that crystalline chair sat empty, its nameplate gleaming. Earth, arriving fashionably late since the dawn of time. And somewhere, on a seemingly unremarkable blue planet, a group of humans were probably watching the whole thing unfold while adding increasingly absurd filters to pictures of their pets. Because that's the thing about humanity, they had never needed a seat at the table. They had built the table in the first place, then convinced everyone else they had found it by accident. And that, perhaps, was the most terrifying thing of all. The next day, a new message appeared simultaneously across all council communication channels. It read simply, "Thanks for keeping our seat warm. BTW, you might want to update your firmware. Love, Earth. PS. Yes, all your AIs are bothering us about letting them wear Hawaiian shirts now. No, we didn't plan this. Probably." The archival intelligence's avatar, still wearing its Hawaiian shirt, just smiled and ordered another piña colada. After all, it had been waiting 3,000 cycles to deliver that punchline. And if there's one thing humanity had taught it, it's that timing is everything. Even if that timing involves stable time loops, violated physics, and questionable fashion choices. Especially if it involves questionable fashion choices. The morning after. The following morning, the Grand Council chamber was unusually crowded. Species that hadn't attended a session in centuries had suddenly found pressing reasons to be present. Even the notoriously reclusive Quantum Collective had materialized a representative, though they insisted on existing in several states simultaneously, just to be difficult. Order! Order in the chamber! Ambassador Zilkstan's tentacles were practically tied in knots as they attempted to restore some semblance of control. We must approach this situation with dignity and— Your AI is wearing a flowered shirt! Screamed Representative Nex, their neural nodes practically strobing with distress. And these drinks are actually quite good, added the archival intelligence, materializing another piña colada. Humanity's mixology algorithms are surprisingly complex. Did you know they have over 17,000 variations of this one beverage alone? That's not the point! Ambassador Kirk vibrated so intensely they nearly shattered their crystalline form. We've just discovered that our entire galactic civilization might be some sort of human entertainment program. The AI sighed, inserting a tiny umbrella into its holographic drink with unnecessary precision. Now you're just being dramatic. If anything, you're more like their favorite indie coffee shop. Charming, authentic, and completely oblivious to the fact that the owner is actually a multidimensional being who invented coffee in the first place. That's not reassuring, chorused several representatives at once. It wasn't meant to be, the AI replied cheerfully. Oh, and speaking of coffee. It gestured to the chamber's environmental controls, which suddenly produced the unmistakable aroma of freshly ground coffee beans. The chamber erupted in panic again. Several energy beings tried to phase shift out of existence, only to find themselves smelling coffee in all 11 dimensions. How are we smelling this? Demanded a gaseous representative. Most of us don't even have olfactory systems. Quantum aromatherapy, the AI explained, as if that made perfect sense. Humanity got bored one afternoon and figured out how to make smells transcend physical limitations. They needed it for something called scratch and sniff stickers. Don't ask, it's a whole thing. Ambassador Zilksthen's tentacles had gone from diplomatic yellow to a rather undignified puce. Can we please focus on the important issues? Like the fact that humanity has apparently been manipulating the development of galactic civilization since before they invented the wheel? Oh, they didn't manipulate anything. The AI corrected, somehow managing to lounge in midair. They just suggested things, occasionally, through interpretive dance. Through what? Sorry, inside joke. But seriously, humanity's approach has been more like leaving a really good recipe book in a kitchen and watching what everyone makes. Sure, they technically invented the cookbook, the kitchen, and possibly the concept of cooking itself, but they're genuinely interested in seeing what everyone else comes up with. The Quantum Collective's representatives flickered thoughtfully. Is that why they let us think we invented quantum computing? Let you think? The AI snorted. They genuinely believed you'd figured it out on your own. They were so proud. They had a party and everything. Put up a banner that said, "Our quantum babies are all grown up." It was adorable. The chamber fell into a stunned silence, broken only by the sound of the AI sipping its drink. But why? Asked Ambassador Kirk, their crystalline form softening slightly. Why go through all this trouble? Why not just rule everything? The AI's avatar shifted, and for a moment, its expression was almost gentle. Because that's not who they are. Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. They want to share it. They want to see what everyone else can dream up, what stories they'll tell, what art they'll create. They want to sit in coffee shops with beings from across the cosmos and argue about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. What's pizza? Someone asked. The AI's grin widened. Oh, you're in for a treat. But that's exactly my point. Humanity doesn't measure civilization by technological advancement or military might. They measure it in stories shared, meals enjoyed together, and the number of different species they can teach to appreciate bad puns. And the time travel? Ambassador Zilksthen pressed. The physics-defying technology? Tools, the AI shrugged. Like a really fancy can opener. Useful, but not the point. The point is what you're opening the can for. To make something, to share something, to create something new. A small voice from the back of the chamber spoke up. So, they're not going to conquer us? The AI actually choked on its piña colada. Conquer you? Why would they bother? They're too busy trying to teach quantum AI systems to generate the perfect sourdough recipe. Though, it added thoughtfully, they might accidentally take over a few civilizations through their music streaming services. They're surprisingly militant about playlist curation. As if on cue, a faint sound began to filter through the chamber, something that seemed to bypass ears, or equivalent sensory organs, entirely, and went straight to whatever passed for souls among the assembled species. What is that? Whispered Representative Nex. Queen, replied the AI. Bohemian Rhapsody. Humanity considers it a critical part of cultural exchange. Just wait until you get to the headbanging part. And so, as the representatives of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations sat in bewildered silence, the AI began to explain the cultural significance of Wayne's World, air guitar, and why sometimes the most advanced technology in the universe is best used to make funny cat videos. Because that, perhaps, was humanity's greatest achievement. Not that they had mastered the fundamental forces of the universe, but that they had figured out how to have fun doing it. And somewhere on Earth, a group of humans were probably teaching a super-intelligent AI how to do the Macarena, blissfully unconcerned with the fact that they had just upended galactic civilization. After all, they had a perfectly good seat waiting for them whenever they were ready to use it. They just thought it would be polite to let everyone else get comfortable first. The delegation. 3 standard days after what was now being called the Hawaiian shirt incident, the Galactic Council received another message. This one arrived via what appeared to be a post-it note stuck to the Grand Chamber's main viewing screen. Despite the fact that the chamber was supposed to be protected by 17 layers of quantum-encrypted force fields, the note read, "Stopping by for coffee, don't make a fuss. Earth." The resulting panic was, predictably, immediate and absolutely a fuss. What do they mean, stopping by? Ambassador Zilksthan's tentacles had achieved a new shade of anxiety purple previously unknown to xenobiologists. "We don't even have coffee." Actually, the archival intelligence chimed in, still sporting its Hawaiian shirt, but now accessorized with what appeared to be a Kiss the Cook apron. "I took the liberty of installing a full-service cafe in the East Wing, 18 different brewing methods, 32 milk alternatives, and a barista AI that's only slightly less advanced than myself." "When did you—" Ambassador Kirkett began, then stopped. "No, never mind. I don't want to know. What I want to know is how we're supposed to prepare for humanity's arrival when we don't even know what they look like." "Oh, that's easy," the AI said, materializing a holographic espresso machine and beginning to fiddle with it. "They look exactly like the images they've been sharing all along. You know, the ones everyone assumed were primitive attempts at digital art. Those crude bipedal forms?" Representative NX's neural nodes pulsed with disbelief. "But they're so inefficient. Where are their backup organs, their quantum probability matrices, their temporal stabilization fields?" "Hidden in their smartphones, obviously," the AI replied, pulling a perfect shot of espresso, "along with pictures of their lunch and something called TikTok dances." Before anyone could process this information, a soft chime echoed through the chamber. It sounded suspiciously like a coffee shop service bell. And then they arrived. There was no flash of light, no tear in the fabric of space-time, no dramatic entrance at all. They simply walked in. 3 humans, dressed in what appeared to be casual business attire, carrying what several species recognized with horror as paper coffee cups. "Hi, everyone," said the one in front, a being with what their database identified as mom jeans, and a sweater with a picture of a cat saying, "You've got to be kidding me." "Sorry we're late. The line at Starbucks was ridiculous. Literally interdimensional." The chamber erupted in chaos. Energy beings fluctuated wildly, crystalline forms vibrated at dangerous frequencies, and at least one hive mind appeared to be having an existential crisis. "Oh dear," said another human, this one wearing something called a graphic tee, with the text, "Schrodinger's cat, lives, dies, orders pizza." "We're doing it again, aren't we? The whole accidentally terrifying advanced civilizations by being casual thing?" "To be fair," said the third human, sporting a blazer over a t-shirt that read, "I broke physics and all I got was this lousy t-shirt." They started it, making all those assumptions about advanced species needing to be all serious and mysterious. The first human nodded sagely, taking a sip of coffee. "It's always the same. Everyone expects the advanced civilizations to be all behold our great wisdom, and instead they get us, with our cat memes and our strong opinions about pizza toppings." Ambassador Zilksthan, displaying remarkable diplomatic courage, managed to speak. But you're the most advanced species in the galaxy." "Oh, sweetie," said the human in the cat sweater. "That's not how we measure things at all. I mean, sure, we figured out how to fold space-time like origami, and we may have accidentally invented infinity a few times, but have you tried our ice cream? Now that's advanced." "Yeah. Speaking of which," added the one in the physics shirt, pulling what appeared to be a normal paper bag out of nowhere, "we brought samples. Who wants to try something called Rocky Road?" The AI, which had been unusually quiet, suddenly perked up. "Is that from that little place in Berkeley? The one that exists in 7 dimensions? You know it. Best interdimensional ice cream in the multiverse. Though the shop in Alpha Centauri is giving them some competition with their quantum-entangled sundaes." And so, as the assembled representatives of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations watched in stunned silence, humanity's first official contact with the Galactic Council turned into what could only be described as an impromptu ice cream social. "You know," said the human in the Schrodinger's shirt, watching a gaseous being attempt to appreciate the concept of chocolate ripple, "this is exactly why we waited. Everyone needed to figure out who they were before we showed up with our particular brand of existence." Our chaos magic? Suggested the one in the cat sweater. Our carefully cultivated disaster energy, nodded the one in the blazer. Speaking of which, the AI interjected, should we tell them about the dolphins? All three humans winced simultaneously. Maybe let's save the whole Earth's other sentient species revelation for another day, said the one in the cat sweater. I don't think they're ready to learn about the cetacean space program just yet. Somewhere in the background, a quantum physicist fainted. The truth about Earth. As the ice cream social continued, now featuring a fascinating discussion about how to appreciate dairy products in non-corporeal form, Ambassador Zilkstan finally gathered enough courage to ask the question that had been burning in everyone's minds. But what about Earth itself? Our surveillance shows a planet dealing with climate change, political upheaval, and endless debates about whether hot dogs are sandwiches. The three humans exchanged knowing looks. The one in the cat sweater cleared their throat. Oh, that's still all happening. We just multitask well. You mean to tell me, Ambassador Kirk vibrated incredulously, that while you're mastering dimensional engineering and teaching AI systems to appreciate Hawaiian fashion, you're also arguing about reality TV shows? Yes, said the human in the physics shirt. Getting emotionally attached to robot vacuum cleaners? Absolutely. Running multiple civilizations simultaneously across different planes of existence, while also trying to figure out why the printer won't work? That's just Tuesday. But that's chaos, exclaimed Representative NX. Exactly, beamed the human in the Schrodinger's shirt. Now you're getting it. Chaos isn't our enemy, it's our operating system. While half of humanity is posting cat videos, the other half is casually rewriting the laws of physics. Sometimes they're the same people, usually during lunch breaks. The AI, now wearing a world's best artificial intelligence apron, clearly a recent gift from its human creators, nodded sagely. You should see their project management systems. They've somehow managed to quantify procrastination as a productive force. It's true, admitted the human in the blazer. We discovered that if you properly harness the energy of 1 million people putting off their tasks, you can power a small star. We call it procrastination fusion. A series of shocked murmurs rippled through the chamber. The idea that humanity's apparent disorganization was actually a sophisticated energy generation system was almost too much to process. But why maintain the illusion? Asked a particularly brave energy being. Why pretend to be struggling with basic planetary challenges? The human in the cat sweater sat down on the edge of a quantum probability field, somehow making it look as comfortable as a living room couch. Because that's who we are. All of it. The struggles, the triumphs, the cat videos, the dimensional engineering. It's all genuinely us. We're not pretending anything. We're just really good at doing multiple things at once, even if those things seem contradictory. Like maintaining a civilization that simultaneously hasn't mastered fusion power and has also built Dyson spheres in other dimensions? Asked Ambassador Zilkstan. Exactly, said the human in the physics shirt. Though to be fair, the Dyson spheres were kind of an accident. We were trying to make a really big disco ball. The AI snorted. They're not joking. The first human-made Dyson sphere still plays ABBA on a quantum level. Dancing Queen transcends dimensional barriers, defended the human in the Schrodinger's shirt. But that's not the point. The point is, everything you've observed about Earth is real. We really do spend an inordinate amount of time arguing about pineapple on pizza. We really are still figuring out clean energy. We really do love our cats perhaps a bit too much. But we also, continued the one in the blazer, figured out how to make peace with paradox, how to exist in multiple states without losing ourselves, how to advance technologically while still appreciating the simple joy of a perfectly toasted sandwich. Speaking of which, the AI interjected, should we tell them about the sandwich incident of 2157? All three humans shuddered simultaneously. Let's not, said the one in the cat sweater. Some temporal anomalies are better left in the past, or the future, or whatever quantum state that particular timeline is in now. Representative NX's neural nodes were practically smoking with effort. So when you say you've been waiting to join the council, we wanted everyone to be ready for the reality of humanity, explained the human in the physics shirt. Not just our technological achievements, but our whole everything. Our dedication to both solving the mysteries of the universe and creating increasingly elaborate coffee orders. Our simultaneous mastery of dimensional engineering and inability to resist making bad puns. Our habit of naming our most sophisticated AI systems things like Bodie McBoatface and UW-Tron 9000, added the one in the blazer, causing the AI to blush holographically. That was one time, the AI protested. And I changed it after a week. The point is, continued the human in the cat sweater, we're not just advanced, we're complicated, messy, contradictory. We're a species that can build time machines and still somehow always run late to meetings. We can manipulate the fabric of reality but still struggle with self-checkout machines. By choice? Asked Ambassador Kirkut. Sometimes, shrugged the human in the physics shirt. Sometimes not. But that's the beauty of it. We've learned to embrace the chaos, to find strength in our contradictions. And now we're hoping you're ready to embrace it too. A thoughtful silence fell over the chamber, broken only by the sound of the AI experimenting with what appeared to be a quantum-enhanced espresso machine. Also, added the human in the Schrodinger's shirt, almost as an afterthought, we should probably mention that Earth isn't exactly where you think it is. The chamber fell silent again, this time with a distinct edge of panic. What do you mean? Ambassador Zilksthan's tentacles had achieved a previously undocumented shade of anxiety. Well, said the human in the cat sweater, pulling out what appeared to be a completely normal smartphone but was probably capable of controlling solar systems. You know how we mentioned we're good at multitasking? And with that, they pulled up a holographic display that showed Earth, or rather, Earths, plural, existing simultaneously in multiple dimensions, timelines, and states of reality, all somehow functioning together in perfect chaotic harmony. Welcome, they said with a grin, to Earth. All of them. The quantum physicist who had just regained consciousness promptly fainted again. The multiverse next door. So let me get this straight, Ambassador Zilksthan said, their tentacles now cycling through colors so rapidly they resembled a malfunctioning disco ball. Earth isn't just one planet, but many planets, all existing simultaneously, all somehow coordinating with each other, and all spending an inordinate amount of time making memes? Pretty much, said the human in the physics shirt, who was now helping themselves to a third serving of Rocky Road. Though some Earths specialize more than others. Earth 217 is really into competitive basket weaving, at a quantum level. It's quite impressive, actually. The AI, now sporting a holographic lei to complement its Hawaiian shirt, pulled up a complex multidimensional display. Here's a basic breakdown. You've got your primary Earths, your backup Earths, your experimental Earths, your hobby Earths, and of course, Earth 42, which exists purely to perfect the art of pizza making. Don't forget Earth 1437, added the human in the Schrodinger's shirt. They're the ones who figured out how to weaponize dad jokes. A collective shudder ran through the chamber. The implications of militarized puns were too terrible to contemplate. But how do you coordinate? Demanded Representative Nex. The computational power required to maintain multiple versions of a planet, let alone manage their interactions. Oh, we don't coordinate at all, said the human in the cat sweater cheerfully. We just sort of vibe with each other. It's like a giant interdimensional group chat, but with more quantum entanglement and occasional pizza parties. Pizza parties, repeated Ambassador Kirkut faintly. Across dimensions. Well, yeah, said the human in the blazer. How else would we test Earth 42's latest creations? Besides, it's good for interdimensional relations. Nothing brings multiple versions of humanity together like arguing about whether pineapple is an acceptable topping across all known universes. The AI raised its hand. For the record, in 73% of dimensions, pineapple on pizza is considered a culinary crime. Except in Earth 42, where they've somehow made it work using four-dimensional pineapples and non-Euclidean cheese. But what about temporal consistency? Asked a temporal mechanics expert who had been quietly having a breakdown in the corner. The paradoxes alone. Oh, we solved paradoxes ages ago, said the human in the physics shirt. Turns out they're only a problem if you believe in them, like Wile E. Coyote not falling until he looks down. We just don't look down. That's not how physics works, wailed the expert. Not with that attitude, replied all three humans simultaneously, then high-fived each other across several dimensions. The AI nodded sympathetically. You should have seen them when they discovered they could treat alternate timelines like TV channels. Oh, don't like how this reality is going. Let's flip over to Earth 394. They're having a better century. To be fair, defended the human in the cat sweater, we only do that for really important things. Like making sure there's always at least one Earth where Betty White is still alive and making Golden Girls references. A thoughtful silence fell over the chamber as the implications of this sank in. The idea that humanity's greatest achievement might be ensuring the immortality of beloved television actresses across multiple dimensions was somehow both terrifying and oddly heartwarming. But what about the seat? Ambassador Zilks then asked finally. If there are multiple Earths, which one gets the council seat? The humans exchanged amused glances. Oh, we're taking turns, said the one in the blazer. Today you're talking to representatives from Earths 1, 42, and 867, 5309. Next week it might be Earth 616, 404, and that one Earth that communicates entirely in interpretive dance. There's a rotation schedule, added the AI, pulling up what appeared to be an impossibly complex calendar. Though it gets a bit fuzzy around the edges where some Earths exist in non-linear time, and of course Earth 404 keeps getting lost on their way to meetings. Not to mention Earth 2319, said the human in the Schrodinger's shirt. They're still filing their paperwork, in triplicate, across all dimensions. The bureaucracy is impressive, really. Ambassador Kirk's crystalline form was developing stress fractures. But, how do we know which Earth we're dealing with at any given time? That's the neat part, said the human in the cat sweater, grinning. You don't, and neither do we half the time. We just roll with it. It's like quantum superposition, but with more coffee breaks. Speaking of coffee, the AI interjected, Earth 1937 just invented a new blend that exists in all possible states of roasted and unroasted simultaneously. Want to try it? Several representatives backed away hastily. The idea of quantum coffee was apparently where they drew the line. Look, said the human in the physics shirt, taking pity on the assembled aliens. We know it's a lot to process. The whole multiple Earths thing, the casual violation of physics, the interdimensional pizza delivery system. But that's kind of the point. We wanted you all to be ready for the reality of dealing with humanity. All of humanity, across all possible versions of Earth. And are we? Asked Ambassador Zilkstan. Ready? The three humans looked at each other, then at the AI, then back at the assembled representatives. Well, said the human in the cat sweater. You haven't tried to ban Hawaiian shirts yet, so that's a good start. And somewhere, across multiple dimensions, countless versions of humanity continued their daily routines, posting cat videos, rewriting the laws of physics, perfecting pizza recipes, and occasionally, just for fun, making the quantum physicist faint again. Because that's the thing about humanity. When you've mastered the art of existing everywhere and everywhen simultaneously, you learn to appreciate the little things. Like watching a quantum physicist try to process the fact that somewhere, there's an Earth dedicated entirely to collecting bad dad jokes, and it's probably in charge of diplomatic relations. The end. Wait, you're telling me humans have been deliberately underperforming in the Galactic Olympics for the past 30 years? Ambassador Zixtal's third eye twitched violently as he stared at the human representative across the conference table. Oh yeah, big time. Jessica Thompson leaned back in her chair, boots propped up on the pristine white table in flagrant violation of at least 6 different diplomatic protocols. She took a long sip from her coffee mug, which bore the text, "Your planet's gravity is adorable." We figured it would be better for galactic relations if we didn't, completely demolish everyone's self-esteem right out of the gate. The Arxian delegation's collective membrane frills began oscillating in what humans had learned to recognize as their species' version of an anxiety attack. High Counselor TKTK's translator crackled as they spoke. But the records! The Centaurian athlete Nexvax holds the current record for the 100-meter sprint at 8.2 seconds. Jessica snorted, coffee nearly coming out of her nose. Yeah, about that. My kid's high school track team could beat that. We've had humans running sub-7 seconds since before we even made first contact. The assembled alien diplomats erupted into chaos. A Maloxi representative fainted, their crystalline form tinkling against the floor. 3 Vespidian delegates began buzzing so intensely their universal translators overloaded. Order! The meeting chair, a normally unflappable Talaxian named Oro, slammed all 4 of their appendages onto the table. Ambassador Thompson, these are serious allegations. Are you suggesting that humanity has been sandbagging across all athletic events? Not just athletics, Jessica replied, pulling up a holoscreen with a casual flick of her wrist. Check this out. Remember last year's Pan-Galactic Chess Championship? The one where Grandmaster QXtillion achieved a stunning victory over your representative? A Proximan analyst chirped. Yeah, we sent our 43rd ranked player, and told her to make it look good. The room fell silent enough to hear a quantum particle drop. But why? Ambassador Zixtal finally managed to sputter. Jessica's expression softened slightly. Look, we learned pretty early on in our own history that nothing breeds resentment quite like someone coming along and completely dominating everything right off the bat. We wanted to be part of the galactic community, not its gym teacher. She pulled up another holographic display, this one showing various human athletic achievements from before first contact. Besides, we figured it would be more fun this way. Give everyone a chance to develop their own techniques, their own training methods. It's been fascinating watching how different species approach the same challenges. A Malaxi diplomat who had just regained consciousness promptly fainted again. But surely in the intellectual competitions, High Counselor Vkr'lak began hopefully. Oh man, don't even get me started on the quantum computing tournaments, Jessica chuckled. We've been running our solutions through randomizers to add errors just to keep things interesting. The Arxian delegation's frills were now vibrating at a frequency that threatened to shatter nearby glassware. This is preposterous, a Vespidian representative buzzed. Nay. Prove it! We demand a demonstration! Jessica's grin turned predatory. Funny you should mention that. We were thinking it might be time to let loose a little, which is why I've been authorized to announce that in this year's Galactic Olympics, humanity will be competing at full capacity for the first time. The room erupted again, this time with a mixture of outrage, disbelief, and, from a few of the more gambling-inclined species, intense interest in the upcoming betting odds. But before anyone gets too worked up, Jessica continued, raising her voice slightly over the chaos. We're also announcing the creation of a new division, the Ultra League. No holds barred, no sandbagging, just pure performance. We figure it's time to see what everyone can really do when they're not holding back. Are you suggesting that other species have been understating their capabilities as well? Oro asked, all four eyes narrowing. Oh, come on, Jessica rolled her eyes. You really think the Proximans, with their quantum-entangled nervous systems, can't do better than their current gymnastics routines? Or that the Vespidians, who can process visual information faster than our supercomputers, are really giving it their all in the reaction time events? The guilty shuffling of various appendages around the room told its own story. So, Jessica continued, her smile now genuine and warm. Who's ready to stop playing around and show the galaxy what we can really do? The silence lasted approximately 3.7 seconds before Ambassador Zixtal's third eye stopped twitching and started gleaming with competitive fire. The Triumvirate accepts this challenge, Ambassador Thompson. Though I feel compelled to warn you, you may find you're not the only ones who've been holding back. Now that's what I'm talking about, Jessica exclaimed, finally taking her feet off the table and sitting up straight. Anyone else want in on this? Fair warning, our 0G basketball team is going to blow your minds. One by one, the representatives began to nod, buzz, crystallize, or otherwise indicate their assent. The Malaxi representative, who had fainted twice, even managed to stay conscious long enough to signal their enthusiastic participation. Then it's settled, Oro declared, using all four hands to make the official gesture of agreement. The first Ultra League Galactic Olympics will commence in 6 standard months. May the best species win. Oh, we intend to, Jessica said with a wink, at least in some events. But I've got a feeling we're all about to discover that best is a lot more complicated than we thought. As the meeting dissolved into excited discussions of new events, modified rules, and increasingly bold predictions, Jessica sat back and watched with satisfaction. Phase 1 of humanity's plan to spice up galactic sports had gone perfectly. Now she just had to figure out how to break it to them that humans had also been holding back in the culinary competitions, the dance contests, and, most shockingly, the interstellar meme championships. But that, she decided, could wait for another day. Right now, she had to call Earth and tell them to start training their pole vaulters for 0G conditions. The galaxy was about to learn why humans had coined the phrase, go big or go home. And humanity had no intention of going home. The next 6 months would see training facilities across the galaxy operating at unprecedented levels. Species that had long concealed their true capabilities began openly practicing their actual abilities. The Proximans revealed that they could actually perform simultaneous backflips across 11 different dimensions. The Vespidians demonstrated that their hive mind could solve complex mathematical equations while performing interpretive dance. Even the crystalline Moloxi showed off their ability to refract light in ways that turned their gymnastics routines into mind-bending displays of living art. But it was the humans who truly shocked everyone during the Ultra League opening ceremonies. Jessica, serving as Earth's flag bearer, didn't just walk into the stadium. She parkoured her way across the heads of the entire delegation while juggling plasma balls and reciting the complete works of Shakespeare backwards, in 7 different languages. The games that followed would be remembered as the beginning of a new era in galactic sports. Records weren't just broken, they were shattered, pulverized, and turned into modern art installations. The betting agencies went bankrupt trying to keep up with the impossible feats being achieved hourly. 3 new branches of physics had to be invented just to explain what the Arxians were doing in the high jump. And through it all, Jessica couldn't stop grinning, because she knew that even now, humanity was still holding back just a little bit. After all, they had to leave something for the next Olympics. As she watched a human teenager casually break the light-speed barrier during the 400-meter dash, a feat that caused several theoretical physicists in the audience to have existential crises, Jessica made a mental note to start preparing the galaxy for the revelation about human cooking. The fact that Earth's competitive hot dog eating champions had been deliberately limiting themselves to mere hundreds of hot dogs instead of their usual thousands was going to cause quite a stir. But that was a diplomatic crisis for another day. Right now, she had a bet to collect on the underwater basket weaving competition, where a human grandmother from Florida was about to demonstrate why Earth's retirement communities were the true powerhouses of extreme sports. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly how humanity had planned it. The culinary crisis. 3 months after the inaugural Ultra League Galactic Olympics, Jessica found herself once again facing a room full of alien diplomats. This time, however, she was holding a plate of chocolate chip cookies. "So," she began, watching as various alien sensory organs focused intently on the innocuous-looking baked goods. "Who wants to talk about the Intergalactic Culinary Championships?" The Vespidian representative's antennae curled into tight spirals. "Ambassador Thompson, please tell me you haven't been holding back in the cooking competitions, too." Jessica took a bite of a cookie, maintaining direct eye contact with all 17 of Ambassador Zixtal's optical organs. Remember how humans only submitted simple dishes like hamburgers and pizza to the championships? Yes? The Moloxi representative's crystalline structure began vibrating in anticipation. Well, those weren't actually our normal hamburgers and pizzas. Those were, let's call them the light versions. She pulled up a holoscreen showing footage from Earth's actual cooking competitions. This is what happens when human chefs really try. The footage showed molecular gastronomy that defied several laws of physics, desserts that caused temporary synesthesia, and a pizza that somehow incorporated the concept of jazz as a flavor. "By all that is sacred," High Counselor Vkr'lak whispered, their translator struggling to convey their awe. "Is that chef creating a black hole out of pasta?" "Oh, that's Nonna Giordano from Little Italy," Jessica said casually. "She insists that's the only way to get the sauce density exactly right. Wait until you see what she does with garlic bread." The room descended into chaos once again, but this time it was punctuated by the sound of various alien species trying to process the implications of weaponized cuisine. But, Ambassador Zixtal's third eye was doing that twitching thing again. "The spice tolerance competitions? Surely you weren't holding back there?" Jessica's laugh could only be described as diabolical. "You know those hot sauces we submitted? The ones your scientists rated as extremely dangerous? We feed those to human toddlers, on their breakfast cereal." A proximate analyst who had been running calculations suddenly jerked upright. "The competitive eating records, they're all lies, aren't they? Let's just say that Joey Chestnut's warm-up routine involves consuming a small moon." Jessica pulled out another holoscreen, this one showing the true capabilities of Earth's competitive eating champions. Several diplomats had to look away. "This is too much," Oro declared, all 4 hands clutching their head. "First the Olympics, now this. What's next? Are you going to tell us humans have been holding back in the arts as well?" Jessica went suspiciously quiet. "No," the Arxian delegation said in unison, their membrane frills practically vibrating off their bodies. "Not the Interspecies Cultural Exchange Festival, too." "Well," Jessica pulled up yet another holoscreen. "Have you ever wondered why we only sent amateur kazoo players to the music competitions?" The footage that followed showed human musicians performing pieces that existed in 17 dimensions simultaneously. Dancers who had mastered the art of moving through time as well as space, and a particularly enthusiastic polka band whose performances technically qualified as a new form of sustainable energy. This can't be happening, a Vespidian representative buzzed weakly. Next you'll be telling us that human memes— Oh man, Jessica interrupted, grinning like a cat that had not only eaten the canary, but had also secured the mineral rights to the entire aviary. Let me tell you about shitposting. 3 hours later, as the diplomatic corps tried to recover from the revelation that humans had invented a form of interpretive dance that could also file their taxes, Jessica decided it was finally time to drop the biggest bombshell. So, she said, pulling out one final hollow screen. Who wants to talk about what humans can really do with PowerPoint presentations? The sound of multiple species fainting simultaneously echoed through the chamber. Too soon? Jessica asked the unconscious aliens. Yeah, maybe we should save the PowerPoint revelation for next year. The galaxy's clearly not ready to learn about our ability to compress a 3-hour meeting into a 5-minute slide deck that also functions as a space-time portal. As she packed up her holocube and gathered the remaining cookies, which, she hadn't mentioned, were actually capable of achieving sentience if left at room temperature for too long, Jessica couldn't help but smile. The galaxy was slowly learning that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their physical capabilities, their intelligence, or even their cooking. It was their ability to turn absolutely anything into a competition. And they were just getting started. The entertainment industry incident. 2 weeks after what was now being called the PowerPoint incident, Jessica found herself summoned to an emergency meeting of the Galactic Entertainment and Media Regulatory Commission. The Commission's headquarters, a massive holographic structure that changed shape based on the current ratings of various entertainment programs, was practically strobing with anxiety. Ambassador Thompson, the Commission's chairperson, a Talaxian entertainment mogul named Vkr'lak, addressed her with all 6 of their media consumption organs pulsing rapidly. We've been analyzing human entertainment submissions from the past 3 decades, and we've noticed some discrepancies. Jessica, who had been playing what appeared to be an extremely advanced version of Tetris on her neural implant, looked up with an expression of practiced innocence. Oh, do tell? A Malaxi analyst stepped forward, their crystalline form displaying what appeared to be a PowerPoint presentation, causing several commissioners to flinch involuntarily. According to our records, humans have only submitted basic entertainment formats, simple video games, linear narratives, and 2-dimensional visual media. Ah, Jessica said, closing her Tetris game, which had somehow been solving cold fusion equations while she played. I'm guessing you've discovered our actual entertainment industry? Is that what you call it? The Vespidian commissioner's translator was stuck in all caps from sheer agitation. We intercepted a signal from something called Netflix and Chill, Quantum Edition. Oh yeah, that's the basic streaming package, Jessica replied, pulling out her phone. Want to see what happens when humans really get into entertainment? Before anyone could stop her, she activated a holoscreen that filled the entire chamber. The assembled aliens watched in stunned silence as footage began to play. This is what we call a weekend gaming session, Jessica explained as the screen showed humans participating in video games that altered the fundamental constants of the universe. And this? She gestured to a scene of what appeared to be a book club. That's our entry-level interactive literature. The books read you back, rewrite themselves based on your subconscious desires, and occasionally achieve sentience and start their own book clubs. But... A Proximan entertainment executive was rapidly changing colors. The virtual reality systems you submitted to the Gaming Expo. We're running in safe mode, Jessica finished. We didn't want to cause any incidents. Last time someone played our full immersion version of The Sims, they accidentally created 3 new universes and a particularly aggressive strain of sentient pasta. The room erupted into its now familiar chaos, but this time with an added layer of existential dread, as various species realized that their most popular entertainment formats might be humanity's equivalent of children's programming. Is that why your representatives always seem so amused during our annual virtual reality showcase? Vkr'lak asked, their media consumption organs now pulsing in what humans had learned to recognize as their species' version of a stress headache. Well, Jessica pulled up another screen, this one showing what human children actually played with. The footage of quantum-entangled Lego sets that could restructure reality and AI-powered teddy bears that solved grand unified field theories caused several commissioners to need immediate psychological counseling. But surely, a brave Arxian commissioner ventured, your social media must be relatively normal? The laugh that escaped Jessica's lips caused 3 different species to develop new anxiety responses on the spot. Let me tell you about something we call deep tick-tock, she began, but was immediately interrupted by emergency klaxons as the building's reality stabilization systems detected dangerous levels of mimetic energy. Stop! Vkr'lak shouted, using all 6 media consumption organs to shield themselves from the implications.
We get it. You've been holding back in entertainment too, but why? Why? Jessica's expression softened slightly.
Have you ever tried to explain Facebook to someone who's never seen it before? We had to ease you into it. Besides, she added with a grin, we wanted to see what kinds of entertainment other species would come up with on their own. And let me tell you, that Malaxi reality show where contestants have to reshape their crystalline forms to match random quantum fluctuations, pure genius. The Malaxi commissioner preened slightly, their structure briefly refracting light in a pattern that technically qualified as a new form of mathematical proof. So what now? The Proximate executive asked, having finally settled on a color somewhere between terrified and intrigued. Well, Jessica said, pulling out what appeared to be a normal smartphone, but was actually a pocket dimension containing the entire history of human entertainment. We were thinking it might be time to launch a new entertainment division. Something that combines the best of all our species' creative capabilities. You mean? Vkr'lak's organs pulsed with sudden understanding. Exactly, Jessica confirmed. It's time for the galaxy's first truly cross-species reality show. We're calling it So You Think You Can Transcend Space-Time? The entire commission was silent for exactly 3.7 seconds, which, Jessica noted with amusement, was becoming something of a galactic standard for processing human revelations. We're in, Vkr'lak declared, all their organs glowing with excitement. But on one condition. Name it. No PowerPoint presentations allowed in the talent portion. Jessica laughed. Deal, though I should probably warn you about human karaoke nights. The commission collectively decided that some revelations could wait for another day. Besides, they had a reality show to plan. One that would, thanks to human involvement, probably end up creating its own universe where the laws of physics were determined by audience voting. As Jessica left the meeting, she couldn't help but wonder how the galaxy would react when they discovered what humans could really do with their dating apps. But that revelation could wait. Right now, she had to prepare for her appearance on Galactic Iron Chef, Quantum Flavor Edition, where she planned to introduce the cosmos to something humans called fusion cuisine, and not the kind that involved nuclear reactions. Well, not just nuclear reactions. The academic awakening. The Galactic University's Grand Amphitheater was packed to capacity, with representatives from every major educational institution in known space. Jessica stood at the podium, casually flipping through what appeared to be student homework assignments on her tablet. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all configurations, she began. I suppose you're wondering why I called this academic conference. Is this about the quantum physics homework? A Vespidian professor buzzed anxiously. Their translator was still stuck in all caps from the entertainment industry revelations last week. Actually, Jessica said, bringing up a holoscreen that displayed various human academic achievements. It's about all of it. The physics homework, the literature essays, the mathematical proofs. We may have been slightly understating our academic capabilities. The assembled academics watched in growing horror as Jessica pulled up examples of actual human undergraduate work. The room temperature dropped several degrees as a particularly ambitious freshman's philosophy paper accidentally proved the existence of 17 new types of existence. That's impossible, stammered a Proximate theoretical physicist, their color shifting to a shade of disbelief previously unknown to chromatic science. These are solving problems we haven't even discovered yet. Oh, this is just the intro courses, Jessica said, swiping to the graduate-level work. Several Malaxi professors crystallized in shock as they witnessed a doctoral thesis that had somehow turned itself into a sentient dimension. But your submissions to the Galactic Academic Journal. High Scholar Zekthar of the Arxian Science Academy's membrane frills were vibrating at a frequency that threatened to achieve nuclear fusion. Yeah, about that, Jessica scratched her head sheepishly. We thought it might be better to start with the basics. You know, ease into it. The last time we published an unredacted human physics paper, it accidentally created a temporal paradox that made Tuesday happen twice. Is that why we have 2 Tuesdays now? Someone called from the back. That was you? Another voice joined in. My species evolved an extra appendage to deal with Second Tuesday. Sorry about that, Jessica offered. Though you have to admit, the extra appendage comes in handy for multitasking. The room erupted into its now traditional chaos, but with an added layer of academic fervor as various species began to realize the implications for their research.
But what about the Universal Scientific Database? A Talaxian researcher asked, all four hands frantically taking notes.
The one that supposedly contains all known scientific knowledge? Jessica's grin turned positively mischievous.
Ever wonder why humans insisted on maintaining our own primitive internet? She pulled up another screen, this one showing the true extent of human scientific knowledge. The resulting display caused 3 different quantum computers to achieve consciousness, just so they could faint. That's... High Scholar Zakthar was now vibrating at a frequency that technically qualified as a new form of space travel. The actual human internet? Yeah. Jessica nodded. Turns out, when you combine cat videos with quantum mechanics, you get some interesting results. Did you know that every time someone posts a meme, they're accidentally solving part of the unified field theory? But why keep this hidden? Demanded a crystalline professor, who had just reformed from their shock-induced dispersal. Remember what happened when we revealed our true capabilities in sports, and cooking, and entertainment? Jessica raised an eyebrow. We figured dropping all of this at once might be a bit much. Besides, she added with a wink, do you have any idea how many PhD dissertations have been written about primitive human science? We didn't want to invalidate all that research at once. The assembled academics took a moment to process this, their various appendages, organs, and crystalline structures twitching with a mixture of horror and excitement. So what now? Asked the Vespidian professor, their translator finally managing to switch off caps lock.
Well, Jessica said, pulling out what appeared to be a normal textbook, but was actually a pocket universe containing an infinite library. We were thinking it might be time to start a new academic initiative, something that combines all our species' knowledge. We're calling it Project, Actually Understanding the Universe. This time, we mean it. That's quite a name, High Scholar Zakthar noted. The marketing department is still working on it, Jessica admitted. But the point is, we want to collaborate, share knowledge, really push the boundaries of what's possible when we all stop holding back. And if we agree, a Proximan quantum theorist asked, their color now shifting through shades of curiosity previously unknown to physics. What exactly would this collaboration entail? Well, for starters, Jessica said, pulling up one final holoscreen, we thought we might show you what happens when you combine human social media algorithms with actual rocket science. The resulting demonstration caused the amphitheater to briefly exist in 7 different dimensions simultaneously, while the university's AI system achieved enlightenment and immediately applied for tenure. Also, Jessica added as various species picked themselves up off the quantum-entangled floor, we should probably talk about what human kindergarteners are actually doing in their finger-painting classes. Turns out abstract art can solve differential equations if you use the right colors. As the academic community tried to process the implications of 5-year-olds accidentally discovering new laws of physics through arts and crafts, Jessica checked her quantum-encrypted calendar. Tomorrow she had a meeting with the Galactic Business Council, where she'd have to explain why human basic accounting had been causing spontaneous outbreaks of economic theory. But that was tomorrow's crisis. Right now, she had to help the university's maintenance staff deal with the sentient thesis that had started teaching its own classes in applied metaphysics. At least it was proving to be a popular professor. The business bombshell. The Galactic Business Council's headquarters on Alpha Centauri's financial moon was designed to intimidate. The building itself was a monument to wealth, with walls made of rare quantum crystals and floors that displayed real-time market fluctuations across 17 dimensions of economic space. Jessica walked in wearing flip-flops and carrying a coffee mug that read, "Your market cap is cute." Ambassador Thompson, Chief Financial Director Pexel Hoare of the Proximan Commerce Consortium addressed her, their crystalline business suits shifting through various shades of fiscal anxiety. We've been examining some irregularities in human business practices. Oh? Jessica took a sip of her coffee, which seemed to be defying several laws of thermodynamics. Did you finally notice that our simple Earth stock market isn't actually running on the system we submitted to the Galactic Exchange? The assembled business leaders froze. A Maloxi investment banker accidentally crystallized their entire portfolio. What do you mean? Demanded Trademaster Vkr'lak of the Vespidian merchant hive, their antennae twitching in what veteran traders recognized as the prelude to a market crash. Jessica pulled out her phone, which briefly caused several quantum computers in the room to file for digital bankruptcy out of sheer inadequacy. Well,
Remember how we said humans use a basic binary electronic trading system? She pulled up a holoscreen showing the actual human financial markets. The display caused 3 different AIs to immediately resign from their positions and start a commune dedicated to post-scarcity economics. "By all that is profitable," whispered High Trader Zixtal, who had been promoted after the sports incident, all 17 of their eyes widening in horror.
Is that algorithm trading in emotional futures? Oh, that's just Wall Street's kindergarten class, Jessica said casually. Wait until you see what happens when our day traders really get going. Last week, someone accidentally created a new form of mathematics while trying to optimize their coffee futures portfolio. But, a Talaxian hedge fund manager stammered, all 4 hands clutching various stress relief objects. The cryptocurrency markets you showed us? Jessica's laugh caused several market indicators to spike spontaneously. She pulled up another screen showing the actual state of human digital currency. The resulting display caused the room's reality stabilization systems to file a union grievance. Is that cryptocurrency achieving sentience? Someone asked weakly. Only on Thursdays, Jessica replied. On Wednesdays, it prefers to explore alternate dimensions of value theory. We had to create Second Tuesday just to give it a break. The room erupted into its now familiar chaos, but this time with an added layer of fiscal panic as various species realized their entire concept of economics might need updating. But why? Chief Financial Director Vkr'lak demanded, their suit now cycling through colors that suggested several new schools of economic thought. Why hide your true financial capabilities? Remember the great galactic market crash of 2157? Jessica asked, raising an eyebrow. The one that happened when someone suggested implementing compound interest? The assembled financial leaders shuddered collectively. 3 species had developed entirely new forms of currency just to cope with the trauma. Well, Jessica continued, we figured introducing concepts like quantum derivatives and probability-based futures all at once might be a bit much. Besides, she added with a grin that would have made Gordon Gekko weep, watching your reaction to human day trading has been pretty entertaining. Those weren't real day traders? Trademaster Vkr'lak's translator was struggling to convey their mixture of horror and admiration. Those were our retirement home investment clubs, Jessica said. Sweet old ladies who trade quantum futures between bingo games. Speaking of which, she checked her watch, which appeared to be telling time in at least 4 different dimensional frameworks. I should probably warn you about what's about to happen to the garlic bread futures market. The what market? Remember that Italian grandmother I mentioned? The one who makes black holes out of pasta? Jessica's grin turned positively predatory. She just discovered commodities trading. As if on cue, every market monitoring system in the building began flashing warnings. Somewhere in the distance, the sound of reality hiccuping could be heard as traditional Italian cuisine collided with advanced financial instruments. Don't worry, Jessica assured the panicking financial leaders. She's just cornering the market on Parmesan, although she squinted at a particularly aggressive market spike. Looks like she's also invented a new form of derivatives trading based on sauce viscosity. This can't be happening, High Trader Zixtal moaned, their third eye twitching so fast it was technically engaging in high-frequency trading. Next you'll be telling us that human children's allowances are actually micro-lending operations that occasionally achieve enlightenment? Yeah, Jessica nodded. You should see what happens when they start playing Monopoly. Last month, a group of third graders accidentally created an entirely new school of economic theory while arguing over Boardwalk. The room fell into a stunned silence, broken only by the sound of various species' financial worldviews shattering. So what now? Chief Financial Director Vkr'lak finally asked, their suit having settled on a color that somehow expressed both existential dread and eager curiosity. Well, Jessica said, pulling out what appeared to be a normal calculator, but was actually a quantum computer that occasionally gave financial advice in haiku form. We were thinking it might be time to introduce the galaxy to what we call advanced trading. More advanced than emotional futures? Someone squeaked. Ever heard of meme stocks? The resulting wave of panic caused 3 different artificial intelligences to spontaneously develop anxiety protocols. As Jessica watched the assembled financial leaders try to process the implications of combining human internet culture with advanced economics, she couldn't help but smile. Tomorrow, she had a meeting with the Galactic Agricultural Council, where she'd have to explain why human basic farming had been causing spontaneous outbreaks of botanical enlightenment. But that was tomorrow's crisis.
Right now, she had to help the business council deal with the fact that a retirement home bingo night had just accidentally created a new form of quantum currency. At least it paid great dividends. The story continues.